I want to talk with you about what it looks like when a church is aligned. What does alignment look like in a church? And so I want to show you a pyramid. And the pyramid says at the top, our strategy drives our vision through our values towards our mission. So from the top down, at the top is driving, everything at the top drives down towards the bottom, okay? And then from the bottom to the top, what's at the bottom determines the next step up, right? So our mission determines our values, which determines our vision, which then determines our strategy. So from bottom to top, that is what determines. From top down, that is what drives. So what's our mission at Bachelor Creek? Our mission is making and growing disciples of Jesus. That is non-negotiable. We get that from the Great Commission. Jesus told us to go and make disciples of all nations. That's why we're here. That's what we exist to do. Well, what are our values? Our core values here at Bachelor Creek it's what makes us unique. It's what makes Bachelor Creek unique from another church. And another church's core values is what makes them unique from us and vice versa. Last fall, we unveiled our refined core values as a church, where we zeroed in on this is who we are. This is who we are. And let me just give you a quick refresh. Our values are we stand on biblical truth. And then there's a biblical image, a metaphor attached to it. Carry the sword. Second, we connect relationally. Break the bread. We give sacrificially. Empty the jar. We raise up the next generation. Pass the torch. We pursue excellence for God's glory. Grip the plow. We are for Wabash and beyond. See the tree. This is who we are. This is who we are as a church. So we have a mission. We have values. This time last year at Vision Night in 2023, I shared our 10-year vision. And that vision is we are a multi-generational church of 1,200, growing deep and wide, that is leveraging our influence to have a daily impact in our community and beyond. So with an unchanging mission, distinct and unique core values, and a clear and compelling vision, we can confidently talk about strategy. And strategy, remember, if you go back to that pyramid, it's all the way at the top. So strategies change. With time and seasons, strategies are the most pliable. There at the bottom, that mission is what's unchanging. The higher you go up the pyramid, the more flexibility there is. For more than 2 years now, our staff and elders have been seeking God. We have been praying and asking for God's leading about the future of Bachelor Creek and discerning what are the best next steps to take to lead our church into a preferred future. I'm reminded of Hudson Taylor, the great inland missionary to inland China. And he said, attempt great things for God, expect great things from God. And as a church, we never want to be satisfied with the status quo. We always want to be able to take bold steps for Christ and His kingdom. We want to take more ground for the kingdom. We don't want to get to the end of our lives and say, I wish we would have done more. I wish we would have taken bigger steps. I wish we would have had more faith. We want to attempt great things for God. While all along we're expecting great things from God. Knowing that it is God who works. It is God who moves. We want to do whatever we can to make and grow disciples of Jesus. And so for almost 2.5 years, through prayers and through long conversations, it has led us to this point tonight where we're ready to announce the launch of a bold and ambitious faith-filled initiative that we're calling For the Future. Our For the Future initiative. We want to step boldly into the future that God has for us. We don't want to just sit and say, well, let's just look backwards. Let's look at the way that we used to do it. No. One of our core values is we raise up the next generation. We want to pass the torch. We want to make sure that we are leading into the future so that in 179 years from now, Bachelor Creek will still have a witness for Christ in this community and beyond. So our For the Future initiative has three major components. The first component is for the church. For the church. When we look at the ministry of our church, we see that there are some pretty big barriers that we need to overcome. This room that we're sitting in is almost 30 years old. There's a lot that has happened in this room in the last 30 years. And if you look, a lot of the features of this room are original. Almost 30 years old. Our audio equipment, our video equipment have been used way beyond the typical lifespan. If you're here on a Sunday, you've experienced times when we've had audio issues where sometimes you have a hard time hearing the preaching, the sound will cut out, it will drop out. We just have a lot of equipment that wasn't designed for 2024. None of our equipment was designed for live stream. And so what we've done over the years is we've piecemealed a lot of things together. We've put Band-Aids and try to get things to work when what we really need is an overhaul. So this year, we're going to complete a full upgrade and remodel of our worship center. And that remodel includes a new AVL package. AVL audio, visual, and lighting. So that means a new sound system, new speakers, a new soundboard, acoustical treatments, new house lights. We will have 2 broadcast quality cameras that will provide much better video quality. We'll have a single large center screen that will promote better visibility and quality, which will improve our in-person worship experience as well as our live stream and our online experience. This remodel will also include new carpet, new paint, and theater-style seating. If you remember last year at Vision Night, I shared some pictures of how worn and torn the carpet and the pews are in this room. One of our core values is we pursue excellence for God's glory. And the current state of our sound, our video, our lighting, our seating is far from excellent. It's not a good reflection of who we are or what we value as a church. Now, the reason theater-style chairs is because they provide a number of advantages. First is increased seating capacity. Our seating capacity in our worship center will increase by at least 15% without doing anything to increase the square footage of our room. Because we now have individual seats. When people sit in pews, they tend to spread out a lot more and they leave gaps, and so in pews, the room can feel full when it's actually not full. Second, this seating will give us more handicap accessible seating. We will be able to have seats of varying widths with armrests that go up and down. We will have spots throughout the worship center where somebody can pull up a wheelchair right next to a seat. So it'll be much more handicap accessible. A third advantage is maintenance. If we have a problem with a chair, if something gets broken, then we simply replace the chair instead of having to replace an entire pew. This remodel will also include a new lowered and accessible stage and a new relocated baptistry. One of the things that has driven a lot of our decision making is we want to remove any barrier that keeps people from coming to Jesus. I'm reminded of Acts chapter 15 and the Jerusalem Council when they said, we should not make it hard for those who are turning to Jesus. I'm reminded of last year, we had a young woman who had mobility issues. And to watch her crawl up the steps to get into the baptistry, we decided that day we're going to remove barriers and we're going to do whatever we can to let people who want to get to Jesus get to Jesus. Currently, our stage and baptistry are not handicap accessible. It's difficult for anybody with mobility issues to get up the stage or get into our baptistry. And so this remodel will likely include a ramp that will go up to the stage and another ramp in the back of the stage that will allow access to our stage much more easily. This also requires that we reconfigure the stage. Our AVL upgrade will include one single center screen, so we'll be moving our baptistry to one side of the stage. Now, the first baptistry in this room, and Dennis Siders, if you're in here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Dennis told me that the first one lasted for a little over 12 years, okay? Right now, we're on our second baptistry, and it's about 17 years old, and it requires a lot of maintenance. There are cracks, there are leaks. It is well beyond the lifespan, and it's going to have to be replaced soon anyways. We are due for a new baptistry. So the stage will be lowered slightly, and that will actually make our worship environment more intimate. The shape of the stage will be slightly altered to make the space up here much more efficient. Also included in this remodel is we will be moving our adult classrooms from the far back of the building up to the front of the building. So on the south side of Up Street, where our current elementary small group rooms are, those will be converted to adult classrooms. A corridor will connect our lobby to those classrooms. This will make it much more convenient. Instead of a lot of our older adults walking all the way through the building to get to their classroom, they will have quick and direct access to these rooms from the front of the building. It'll also make these classrooms easily accessible for outside groups to use throughout the week. Our desire, and we shared this last year at Vision Night, is we want our building, we want our church to be a 7-day-a-week facility so that we can offer meetings and we can offer recovery groups and small groups and Bible studies and more throughout the week in an easy-to-get-to location. So the first component of our For the Future initiative is for the church. The second component to our For the Future initiative is for the children. I'll remind you that one of our core values is we raise up the next generation. And our next generation is experiencing some incredible growth right now, especially our birth through pre-K and elementary ministries. It is such a blessing to have Janet and Tyler and their years of ministry experience leading these ministries. I believe we have the best volunteers. We have incredible families and kids in our church. And so when it comes to our kids' spaces, there are really three guiding principles that help us in our decision making. First is safety and security. Second is room to grow. And third, we want to have compelling and engaging ministry environments. We want to make sure that we have room to grow to achieve our vision of a multi-generational church of 1,200. So to accomplish that end, here's what we're doing. First, we will be securing our kids' areas. Basically, everything from the nursery on back, that will be a completely secured space that is only accessible by kids, their parents, and volunteers. So by moving our adult classrooms from the back of the building to the front, the back of our building will be exclusively kids' environments, and we won't have adults and kids in the same place. It will help our security be much more effective. This remodel will also include central check-in for our kids. Right now, it can take a long time to check kids into their areas, especially if you're checking one kid into Tiny Town, another kid into Up Street. By having a large central check-in station, drop-off will be easier. Our whole process will be much more efficient and family-friendly. Also included in this will be a remodel of our kids' space to allow increased room to grow. So our middle school and high school ministries will move to Up Street, the room that we just had dinner in. That will give them large group space, and it will also give them increased small group space. Our Tiny Town ministry will move to the block, the hub, and the coffee area. There will be additional classrooms that are added, and for the first time ever, our Tiny Town kids will have a large group space where they can meet in before going into their classrooms. Our elementary ministry will move into a brand new single-story elementary wing that will be added on to the north side of the building. Our current education hallway will be converted into elementary small group rooms. Now, with this expansion, we will demolish the bi-level tiny town area. Now, if you're wondering why in the world would we do this? If you volunteer in Tiny Town, or you have a kid in Tiny Town, would you raise your hand? So several of you. Those areas have extremely narrow hallways. So drop off and pick up can get very bottlenecked. It can get very congested. Also, both of those areas require stairs. There is no handicap accessibility to get to that part of the building. So any volunteer that has mobility issues, any kid that's in a wheelchair or has mobility issues, there's no way for them to get into their classroom. To put a single limited use elevator would cost upwards of $100,000, and that still would not solve the limitations of that space. That part of our building takes the longest to heat up in the winter, and it takes the longest to cool down in the winter. It is a constant thorn in our side. What I think is fascinating, and when we look at God's hand and God's timing, I was looking just a few weeks ago, I was looking at some blueprints that our elders commissioned back in 2007. These were blueprints for what some future expansion may look like at Bachelor Creek. And as I was looking through these building plans, I noticed that part of those plans included tearing off the same part of our building. So our elders 17 years ago saw the inherent limitations that we see now. This has actually been in our plans for almost 2 decades. This remodel will also allow all of our spaces to be completely accessible. I don't know if you realize this or not, but right now we have 3 parts of our building that are all isolated and disconnected from each other, that have stairs, and that are inaccessible by anybody with mobility issues. So if you have a 2 through 5-year-old in Tiny Town, that is a separate set of stairs that they have to contend with. Our 4th and 5th grade elementary rooms are upstairs, and that's a separate staired area. And then our high school is upstairs in the loft. Now, if all of these upstairs areas connected to each other, it'd be really easy to say, well, yeah, let's just invest in an elevator, and that will take care of it. But it makes no sense in the world to put in 3 elevators to get to these 3 isolated areas. Even having these elevators wouldn't address the limitations in our tiny town space. So with this remodel and expansion, every child, every student, every volunteer will have access to their areas without stairs. Now, the upstairs areas that we're moving out of will be converted into storage. Where we lose storage downstairs, we reclaim it upstairs. 3 components: for the church, for the children, for the community. The third component of our For the Future initiative is that we are for our community. One of our core values here at Bachelor Creek is we are for Wabash and beyond. As staff and elders, we've spent a lot of time talking about our location. And over the last few years, we have put a lot of intention, we put a lot of effort into having a presence downtown, of having an increased presence in our community, letting our community know that we are for them. And so there was talks about, man, it would be a lot more convenient if we were located closer to downtown. But the more that we were talking and the more that we prayed, the more we realized that God has placed us here in this location to have a unique and strategic impact. Being 4 miles north of Wabash, our location is a great connecting point to places like Rowan and Urbana and Manchester. Being located directly on State Road 15, we have hundreds of people that drive past our church every single day. And so we want to use our location to influence people for Jesus. There are several people who attend Bachelor Creek for the first time, and when we ask, so what made you stop here? And the answer is, we drove by. We believe there is a strategic location to where we're at. So with this location, we want to leverage that for the kingdom. And that's why, Lord willing, we'll be opening Bachelor Creek Community Park this year. It will feature a new playground and pavilion. Now, our current playground, at this point, most of it has been disassembled and destroyed because it was rotting, it was falling apart, it was dangerous, it was a hazard, it was not safe for kids to be on. By putting in a new playground, our kids at Bachelor Creek will have a fun and safe place to play on Sundays, but we will also make this playground and pavilion available to people in our community to use throughout the week. Our vision and our dream is that moms would schedule play dates, that people in the community would come, and that this would be a helpful and natural next step to help them worship here and find out about who Jesus is. The pavilion will be an ideal location to find shade. We envision small groups meeting together at the pavilion, kids having birthday parties. We imagine youth groups having cookouts. It's just another way that we want to be good stewards to have our location be a 7-day-a-week facility. Another way that we invest in our community is we have some incredible partnerships with some local ministries. It has been a hallmark of Bachelor Creek to support missions locally, nationally, and globally. And I'm not even sure our congregation is aware, but for the last 2 years, Bachelor Creek has been paying $1,200 a month to pay for the mortgage at Lighthouse Crossing. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Lighthouse Crossing is the building in downtown Wabash that hosts 4 local nonprofit ministries: Lighthouse Mission, Fish, Advantage Housing, and 85 Hope. These organizations share our heart for our community. We have shared values of reaching our community for Christ. And so it has been an honor for us to support them, to enable them to do more of what they are uniquely called to do. And church, I am so excited to share with you tonight something incredible that this church did this past week. Check out the screens.
Hey Bachelor Creek, it's Ryan, and I'm down here at Lighthouse Mission. I'm down here with the director, Jenny Ritzma, and Christy Clark, who is on the board here. And first of all, I just want to take a moment, and I want to just say thank you guys so much for what you do through the mission in our community and for our community. We see you guys, and the community sees you and feels the love that you guys just pour out to them. And this evening, I've come alongside with our lead minister, Joel Cogdell, and he just wants to take a moment and just share an encouraging word with you guys.
Yeah. We love what you guys do for our community, and it's just thrilling for us as a church to be able to walk alongside your organization that has the same heart for the community that we do as a church. And we are for you because you're for our community. And we were just talking about what you do to help the underserved in this community, and there are so many needs, and the needs continue to come. And we want to continue to walk alongside you and support you. It's been our honor for the last couple of years to be able to pay the monthly mortgage that allows you to do more of what you're uniquely gifted and called to do down here. And we hope that that continues for a long time. And this space down here, as you mentioned, it doesn't just serve the mission, but it also serves 85 Hope and Fish and Advantage Housing. And because of that kind of shared values and the same heart that we possess for Christ and for the community, I am so excited today to be able to present you with a check that is going to pay off
No way.
the rest of your mortgage.
No way.
Yeah.
We were supposed to retape this. You're paying off our mortgage.
Absolutely.
You guys, that's so
That
much
is-
money.
You guys don't know what this means. We started here 3 years ago from renting a small building, and we had to open a credit card at our first building to be able to pay the opening cost of our utilities. We had no money at all. And we knew this building was right. The community knew this building was right for us. We took a gamble of taking a loan out from the mission, and you guys are cool.
Oh my word.
guys. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
I feel like thank you is nothing. Like I don't even want to say thank you. That just feels like nothing. But
oh my gosh, this is not only going to bless us and our other nonprofits in this building, but the entire community. You have freed us up 20 years of paying a mortgage in one fell swoop that now we have the freedom to do even more with. Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing.
You guys are
Blown
doing
away.
what we can't do. So we thank you for that. So thank you guys for what you do.
We love you, we're for you, and we know that this is going to allow you to do even more
Oh my gosh.
of what you're uniquely qualified to do. So thank you.
that word, like I just.
This is a
Just
shock.
done.
We were
Just
just
done.
making this video to tell you who we are, and oh my gosh, you guys are fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. It's your whole congregation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
I wish we had the entire 30-minute conversation filmed just to see how they were overwhelmed with gratitude. And if you could just hear the amazing things that they said about this church, about how they said things like, Bachelor Creek sets the standard for what it looks like to be for a community. And they say a lot of people say that they're for a community, but you guys actually live it. And it's not just through the financial support, but it's about the teams and the small groups that volunteer downtown. It's about what we're doing in benevolence. There's so much that this church does to show that we are for our community. And we'll always be for our community. This is really just the beginning. So for the future, we are for the church, we are for the children, we are for our community. And ultimately, everything that we do is for the one. Jesus said that he left the 99 to go search for the one. And our mission compels us to go and make disciples of Jesus. We want to make sure that we have room to accommodate new people, that we have ministry environments that are compelling for our ones, and your one, and your one to come and encounter Jesus. I told you at the beginning that strategies change over time. You think about how people were reached for Christ in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, and it feels like it's always changing, right? The methods change, but the message doesn't. And in 2024, online is the new front door to the church. People will check out your church online before they ever step foot through your doors. And so that's why we cannot say, this is something that we're going to do in the future. No, now is the time. We have to have high quality, excellent live stream that allows people to really get a glimpse of who we are. So they're willing to accept the invitation, step through the doors of this church and say, you know what, I want to give Jesus a chance. We want our online presence and our live stream to help people take a next step to be able to worship with us in person. Now, I know that you're wondering, how much is this going to cost? We estimate the total cost of this project to be around $4.9 million. And that includes everything that I have shared tonight. That's the community park with the playground and pavilion. That's the complete worship center remodel, the renovating of our kids and student areas, moving the adult classrooms to the front of the building, demolishing the current bi-level tiny town area, adding a new elementary wing, and paying off the mortgage for Lighthouse Crossing. So how in the world are we going to pay for it? Well, tonight I want you to know that multiple people have given anonymous, generous gifts that will cover more than 2/3 of the entire project. So that means that we are looking to our congregation to raise the remaining $1.7 million to complete this project. Currently, we are seeking out grants that would help cover a portion of the cost of the playground. We've applied for some of these grants. We don't know yet if we have received them. Now, I know that is a lot of money. But if you think about it, everything in our world today is more expensive than it used to be. Homes are more expensive. Groceries are more expensive. Cars are more expensive. Building materials are more expensive. You name it, it's more expensive. I don't want us as a church to lose sight of the opportunity we have to make a kingdom impact. God is so faithful, and we have seen his provision incredibly. So our goal is to complete this debt-free. In the coming months, we are going to seek commitments, but right now, all we are simply asking is that you pray about how God is asking you to be a part of this. So what's the timeline? Right now, we are in the beginning stages of design. Everything that you've seen tonight is completely preliminary. It's conceptual renderings. We don't have 3D renderings yet of what any of the children's spaces will look like yet. Those things will come together in the next couple of months, and as we zero in on final designs, we will share those with you. There's part of me that hesitates to share when we will start because there's always a lot of factors that go into anything like this. But it is entirely realistic that construction would begin in early fall of this year. We will begin with the worship center remodel. And while the worship center is being remodeled and the AVL equipment is being installed, we will temporarily move our Sunday morning worship services into Upstreet. As we talked about what it would look like if we were displaced from this room, we wanted to do whatever we could to not have to meet off-site, to try to meet in a school or to try to meet at the Honeywell Center. We wanted to be able to stay here. And so, during that time, our elementary ministry will meet in our current middle school and high school areas. Our middle school and high school students will meet on Sunday evenings only. We also anticipate that the playground and pavilion will be installed at the same time. Now, once the worship center remodel is finished and we're able to come back in here, that will trigger the start of the new elementary wing and the remodeling of our next-gen spaces. This is such an exciting time in the life of our church. It is an incredible opportunity that we have been blessed with. And as exciting as these upgrades and improvements will be, we have to keep in mind that all of these are just tools. They are tools for ministry. We're simply creating conducive environments so that life change can take place. Because at the end of the day, we are not about sticks and stones. We're about flesh and bones. We exist to reach people. And we want to remove every single barrier to keep people from Jesus. Now, it would be really easy for this to distract us. It would be very easy for something like this to even divide us. And Satan would love nothing more than that. But I am confident that we are going to move through this year even more committed to our mission and even more united. Because I've seen it happen. I have seen this church unite incredibly in the last couple of years. But as I share this with you, I also realize this. Our staff and elders have been sitting in this, and we've been praying about this for over 2 years, and you're hearing it for the first time tonight. So I know that you're going to need some time to process that. And that's a good thing. So here's what we're providing for you, and here's what I'm asking from you. We've created a landing page on our website. If you go to bachelorcreek.com/forthefuture, you can see these renderings, you can see detailed information. There's a list of frequently asked questions. I want to encourage you to make sure that you read those. Second, when you have questions, please ask our staff and elders. We welcome your questions. There will be times where we might even have evenings where you can come together and ask questions. But what we would ask that you not do is to not jump and make assumptions or to spread false information or even worse, to gossip. Third, John Maxwell says that every leader carries 2 buckets, a bucket of water and a bucket of gasoline. Now, I understand that there are a lot of people in our church that didn't sign up tonight, didn't come tonight, maybe they didn't want to get out in the weather. And so when you talk with them and you have conversations, I just want you to keep in mind that you can pour water on the conversation or you can pour gasoline on the conversation. So when people have questions, direct them to the website, direct them to talk with our staff and elders. Again, we're not hiding from this. We welcome this. But don't entertain speculations. I want to make sure that as we move forward as a church, unity is a priority. That we conduct ourselves with godliness, that we conduct ourselves with integrity. So in order for us to stay united and make sure that we keep the main thing, there's going to be some next steps that we take. One next step is simply next. If you're here tonight and you still have not attended Next, now is the time. You need to sign up for Next, because in Next you understand who we are as a church, what we believe, what we value, what it looks like to get thoroughly connected here. And what we've done is we are hosting an upcoming Next session in February. We're having it in the evening. We're going to take the two normal sessions that happen over the course of 2 Sundays. We're going to combine them into one session on a Sunday evening. You should have received a handout when you came in. You can sign up tonight, and you can turn that in when you leave, and that will sign you up. Second, best night ever. As a church, we did something incredible this past week. We let 4 organizations downtown know that we are for them. Best night ever is a way that we show our community we are for you. We are for the overlooked. We are for the underserved. And this year, as a church, this is a step of faith that we're taking. We exhausted all the available funds through the Tim Tebow Foundation, where we did a night to shine. This year, we are stepping out. We are hosting on our own, best night ever. It's going to be on March 16th, I believe, at Northfield High School. It's going to be on a Saturday night. And we need help. We need our church to show our community that we are for them. I'd encourage you to sign up to be a part of that. There are so many different roles. Third, if you're not already serving in a ministry, find a ministry to serve in. With the growth that we're experiencing in our kids' ministries, we need more volunteers. With the upgrades that we'll be making to our AVL, we're going to need more volunteers in media ministry. Find a ministry to serve in. And then fourth, begin praying and seeking God about how He's leading you to support our For the Future initiative. I'm not asking you to do anything right now other than to begin praying. Begin seeking God what He's asking of you. So before we leave tonight, I'm going to do just that. We're going to pray together as a church. And then we're going to break into our ministry areas. We're going to put some breakout locations on the screen. You just go to the location, to the ministry that you're serving in. If you're here tonight and you're not serving in a ministry, we would ask that you would stay here in this room. And we will connect you with David and Taylor, who will just share with you some serving opportunities. But being respectful of everyone's time, I want to pray together and close our evening just going before the Lord. Let's bow our heads and let's go before the Father. God, you have given big dreams and a big vision to this church. But God, I wouldn't want it any other way. God, forgive us if we ever settle for status quo. God, forgive us if we ever lose our passion for building your kingdom. God, I pray that as we step out boldly into the future, that your hand of blessing would continue to guide this church. This church has an incredible history, and so much has changed and so much has happened over the last 179 years. And God, we don't know what the future holds, but we know that you do. And so, God, our prayer is that we keep our eyes fixed on you, and that as you lead us, we would follow in faith. God, I want to pray for every person gathered here tonight. God, I pray that through this journey that we're going through together, that you would use this to ignite our own faith. God, would this help us become more bold in sharing our faith with others and investing in lives in our community? God, would we not tap on the brakes, but would we put our foot on the gas and know that there is a community and there is a nation and there is a world desperate to hear the good news of Jesus? And may we be a church that doesn't just say it, but we do it. God, I thank you for the generosity of this congregation. I thank you for the amazing gifts that we've received that puts us in a position to take bold steps for you. I thank you for this congregation and the heart that we have for this community. I thank you for the blessing that we've been and the blessing that we will continue to be as we attempt to make an impact for Jesus. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.